to see you back again. You're back for the 17th installment of Am I the Asshole Stories. So, for those who don't know, the subreddit describes itself as a catharsis for the frustrated moral philosopher in all of us, and a place to finally find out if you were in the wrong in an argument that's been bothering you. Tell us about any non-violent conflict that you've experienced. Give us both sides of the story and find out if you're right or if you are the asshole. So, what I do is I go over 5 of these stories, and then after that I give my opinion for each one, if the person is an asshole or not, and then hopefully the audience also participates and gives their opinion and analysis. So, let's start. Number 1. Am I the asshole for telling my niece my husband and I are not going to her birthday because my husband isn't welcome? I've been with my husband for 10 years. We've been married for 5 of those years. He has suffered horrific trauma at the hands of his dad. His parents were married and expecting twins when his mom suffered some kind of hemorrhage and ended up with eclampsia. My husband's mom and twin sister did not make it, but my husband did after a period of time in the NICU. His dad told him that it was his fault they died. He had grandparents who meant the world to him and tried to shield him from his dad's anger, but when he was 8 years old, they died also. His father then blamed him. He spent the next 10 years hearing day after day that he was the reason. At no point did he have another person to reassure him that he wasn't. When we had met, he had just begun to heal. He was away from his dad and attending therapy. It was a very big fear of his that what his dad told him was true. He is a wonderful man, and my nieces and nephews adore him. He was always so good with them and the rest of the family. In January 2020, I was pregnant, and when we went for a scan, we learned that I had miscarried. As soon as my husband heard this, something inside of him broke. He started to unravel. He was clearly in the middle of a mental health crisis. He was doing this weird manic laugh that was also a sob. He ran out of the room, and I followed after him, concerned. My mom and sister both work at the hospital. Sister's a nurse while mother worked in the little gift store. Both saw him during that worst moment. They saw as medical personnel were forced to intervene because he was in the middle of a breakdown, hysterical, and totally out of it. He was completely broken and nothing could reach him. It was the scariest moment of my life and the worst moment of his. And they judged him for laughing. Then, when they told the rest of the adults in the family, those adults also judged him. All of my family were aware of his traumatic history. He told them about it years ago. My husband ended up under the care of a psychiatrist who suggested he needed a lot more help than therapy could provide. Instead of understanding, my family no longer wanted him around. They said that a man who could laugh at his own wife's miscarriage was not the kind of man they wanted being around the kids. I told my family that I would not leave him behind. My niece is turning 12 this year and is having her first big party since COVID. She called and said she wanted us there, but she hadn't seen us on her mother's list. I told her that we wouldn't be able to come and that I was sorry. We both were. She was upset and asked why she never saw us, why we couldn't come to her birthday party, why we missed all of them now. I told her that my husband wasn't welcome by the other adults in the family anymore. After that, she apparently yelled at her parents and mine, and then I got shit from them for telling her what I did. They said I had no business saying that. Am I the asshole? No. I would say that your family are the assholes, and they are morons, and I will explain why. And if anyone's watching this, I'll tell you something. Just because somebody is an adult doesn't mean they know anything from anything. That's not to say that they aren't more mature, usually, than, say, someone who is under 18. But what I'm saying is a lot of adults can be kind of judgmental pricks. And I'm sure that you've seen that when you're just outside, out and about. You'll see someone who's weird. I remember there was one time, this was really creepy. I was with a friend of mine, and we were riding on our bicycles, and we bike past this guy's house, and this dude was watering his garden, and he pretended the garden was like his genitals, and he was like, and I'm like, what is wrong with people? My friend was like 12 at the time, and I was like 13. That just stuck out to me. And then, like, you've got adults who, they really aren't as educated as they think they are. And there's nothing wrong with not having a formal education. I myself have not been able to afford university yet. I'm hoping one day I'm able to, but right now I haven't. But people will take their things that they're ignorant about and then try to make them reality, if that makes sense. And then other adults will kind of group together and believe like whatever they say. That's why you have people, I guess, who believe in like flat earth and stuff like that. And keep in mind, being ignorant isn't necessarily an insult. It just means that people don't understand. But sometimes adults don't want to understand things. I've met people in my life like this, family like this. It's just how people are. And obviously you can try to help them, but sometimes they just don't want to be helped. And at a certain point, you have to focus on yourself. Maybe they'll come around later, but I don't know. I would say that your family are ignorant and they are the assholes in this situation, not you, OP. I'm sorry that your husband and you had to go through that. Number 2. Am I the asshole? My boyfriend places sheets on all of the furniture when I'm on my period. So my 24 female boyfriend, 28 male, is very protective over his furniture. I assume it's because they're white. You mean like the furniture is white or he's white? What? This really shows when I'm on my period. Oh. My boyfriend does humiliating things like placing sheets on all of the chairs and lounges and makes me sleep in the guest bedroom on the first 2 days of my period, my heaviest days. And then he even asks me about when was the first time I changed my tampon. I'm a grown woman who has had her period since the age of 12. I don't need somebody to remind me to change a tampon. When he does this, I just feel embarrassed, and it gives me the vibe that he cares more about materialistic objects than me. I'm not even allowed to cuddle him during my period. He acts like I'm just gushing like a waterfall or something. I started my period yesterday, and as I expected, the sheets come out. I decide to put my foot down, and I take off all the sheets on the furniture, which got my boyfriend irritated, to which I told him that he needs to stop treating me like a leaking juice box. He's saying I have no right to prevent him from keeping his expensive furniture clean, and that I'm the one acting like a jerk. I need to know, am I the asshole? No, your boyfriend is strange. He's being the asshole, like he's not understanding that, this is someone you're in a relationship with, and that's a piece of furniture. The furniture doesn't matter. Like, really? Has he never met a woman before? I don't know. People have their periods, women have their periods. I don't know what to tell him, but he seems to not be getting it fully. That is weird. Number 3. Am I the asshole for shutting up a girl that criticized me for giving food to someone? For context, I'm working on my master's thesis, and the theme has to do with homeless people. So I've gone to a few food banks and shelters to conduct interviews and polls, meeting people along the way. A few days ago, I, female 25, went out with my best friend James, male 26, to get some pizza, and we asked for an extra one to go to bring it to his roommates. We went to a small, nice place, not a fancy one, just nice. The owner has has an open door policy, so every once in a while some people enter to sell stuff like candy, chips, or keychains. Some of them are homeless, and this is the only way that they can make money. When we were eating, a girl in her teens walked in and offered chips to every table. It was early, so there were just 4 or 5 tables being served. Most of the customers, I guess, just ignored her. When she reached our table, James was searching for change. I didn't have any with me. While we were waiting, I recognized her from one of the shelters, so I asked James to not only buy the chips, but also give her a tip. I noticed her staring at our pizza, and she asked me how much it cost. Just then our server came with the box of the one to go that we asked for before, so we gave it to her and told her to share it with her family. She was really happy. I also gave her a candy bar that I had in my bag, and she left thanking us. As soon as she left the place, a girl who was sitting at the other table told me that I wasn't helping her, that she was going to give the pizza to her patron and use the money for drugs or alcohol. I decided to not engage and ignore her while ordering another pizza to go. She then kept ranting about how I was just wanting to look good and wasn't making any real changes. James tried to step out and defend me, but I stopped him and talked myself. I told her that it was very rude of her throwing her opinions on people she didn't know, that I know that girl, and she doesn't have any addictions, and if she was criticizing me that much, that she better be doing some real changes herself, and not just talking trash about a minor who's just trying to make a way that she can live. And also, I hope that she's living by her words. That I doubt that this woman criticizing me had ever helped anyone. She shut up, sat and whispered something to one of her friends. I turned to my table again. We finished our food and waited for our order to go. The girl didn't say anything else but was glaring at us the entire time. Well, yesterday, James told the story while we were out with some of our friends, and the girlfriend of one of our friends said that I was an asshole for humiliating that girl in public, that it wasn't necessary, and I just acted smug. To my surprise, our friend agreed. So, am I the asshole? I would say that OP is not the asshole. I've encountered people who pretend to be homeless. You'll see them standing on like the street corners with signs and stuff. I once saw a guy recently who was trying to pretend he was missing an arm one day, and then the next day he had both his arms holding the sign. And I've seen a guy who, he drove a nicer car than me, that I like still to this day than I have, but he's out there with this sign pretending to be homeless. And people like that poison the well for anyone who is actually homeless. And because of people like that or people who I guess have like a bad drug addiction and get violent, though I have to say there's not actually always like fentanyl, it's not always homeless people. Like there's been times when there was nurses. There was this nurse, what's her name? She was like, hang on. It was an interesting case, and she actually got sentenced recently. It was Alexis McNeely. This person. It's very bright, but she had been taking, well, that's her too. She'd basically been replacing saline with fentanyl. And the thing is, these patients who were going for operations and stuff, or were in severe pain, would just get injected with saline instead of fentanyl. So can you imagine the fallout of that? And apparently she'd actually been fired from another hospital and somehow got a drop at this one. I don't know, but I think she got a couple years in prison. But it's not just a homeless person thing, drug addiction. obviously, but some people will lump them all together. But people like those two groups kinda, like I said, poison the well for people who just have mental issues and stuff like that. And that's the negative thing. And I've met people who just like, I even remember that friend in it was a previous video who I was biking with her, and like there was this guy who was creepy with a hose pretending it was like his dick. That same person I saw busking on the side of the road or whatever, even though she had a house and all this, and now she's a missing person, and it's like, what the heck? It was actually kind of creepy because I found there was a woman who had went missing in 2008, and come to find out, they discover her remains after this guy who actually murdered her. Later on, he murdered a woman in like 2021 and then pointed them to the remains. So I don't know. This person I knew could be like deceased now. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's just stupid I'm sorry for digressing, but it's dumb that woman would get mad at you for helping like a child who was just selling stuff like chips. Like, it's dumb. It's like, mind your own business, you know? So, not the asshole. Number 4. Am I the asshole for asking my husband to join us in my sister's birthday since he was in the same restaurant? I, female 26, was invited to my sister's 18th birthday a few days ago at a restaurant. My husband didn't come because he said he had a meeting dinner with some clients. This made my family feel let down, especially my sister who wanted him there, and also her 18th birthday was a big deal to her, obviously. To my surprise, when I arrived, I noticed that my husband was having his meeting at the same place. His table was right in the corner, and he had about 4 men sitting with him. My parents and the guests saw him as well. I waved for him, and he saw me, but he ignored me. He obviously was as much surprised as I was. My parents asked why he didn't even come to the table to acknowledge them after the cake arrived. I got up and walked to his table. I stood there and said, "Excuse me." My husband was silent when I asked, after I introduced myself to the clients, if he'd take a few minutes to join me in the family and candle blowing and say happy birthday, and he barely let out a phrase and said, "I don't think so. I'm busy right now." I insisted, saying it'd just take a couple of minutes and that it would mean so much to my sister. He stared at me and then stared awkwardly back at his clients. They said nothing, and he got up after my parents were motioning for me to hurry up. He sat with us when my sister blew out the candles and cut the cake. My parents insisted he takes a piece and join us in the selfie, but he got up and walked back to his table looking pissed. We haven't talked till we met later at home. When we did, he was upset and started scolding me in front of my parents, saying I embarrassed him and made him look unprofessional and ruined his business meeting. I told him he overreacted since it only took a few minutes and it was my sister's birthday, and my family wanted him to join since he was literally in the same restaurant. He called me ignorant and accused me of tampering with his work, but I responded that ignoring mine and my family's presence was unacceptable. We argued, then he started stonewalling me and refusing to talk to me at all. I don't have an issue with him missing the event, but seeing that he was already there, it became a different story. Also, it literally took 5 to 7 minutes. He didn't even eat or drink, just sat down and watched. Am I the asshole? You're not the asshole, but to interrupt your husband when he's at work, which could be something very important, I feel like that's kind of ignorant. Like, that meeting could have been extremely important. You shouldn't walk up and just interrupt it. What if he was about to sign something that could have helped you make a lot of money? Could have improved your financial situation, but you just walked up and interrupted the meeting. Do you get what I mean? Just wait till the meeting's over or something. You shouldn't do things like that. But that's just my opinion. Number 5. Am I the asshole for making my boyfriend call me grandma in bed? I'm just going to get right to it. My 25 female boyfriend, 28 male, likes to be called daddy in bed while we're being intimate. I've obliged this request, but it's starting to creep me out, and I've decided I don't want to do it anymore. He is not happy with this and insists it has nothing to do with the connotation of the word. He simply enjoys me saying it. Since he wasn't budging on the issue, I told him I'd like for him to call me grandma in bed as a compromise. He didn't like this option and said it was giving him visuals he would prefer not to have. Like, okay, join the fucking club. Anyway, the last time he tried to initiate intimacy with me, I started to refer to myself as grandma in the third person. Do you like when grandma does that? Etc. And he flew off the handle, said that I ruined the mood, made him feel gross and I was being ridiculous. I think that I proved my point, but he thinks I'm being an asshole, so am I the asshole? No. I do find it kind of weird when guys want to be called daddy and stuff. I don't know. I understand that's like a personal preference in your own home, behind closed doors, but it's just never for me. I remember there was one time when some people, like people on YouTube, would comment calling people daddy and stuff, and I always felt that was creepy. Just, not for me. But, to anyone who's made it this far, thank you so much, and I hope that you have a wonderful day, night, or anything in between. I want to give a special shout out to Marvin for being the channel member right now. I appreciate it. Marvin is the only person to do so, and it means a lot that you like these videos enough to put a little bit of financial backing to them. And I also want to thank all of the subscribers, the people commenting and leaving likes. And I just hope that you're doing well. I will be making more of these, and I'll be making more videos of various genres, so I hope that you'll sit back and hang out